throughout mankind, we are always learning. Learning starts from the minute we are born, learning sounds and about lights. We go on to learn about how our bodies respond to medications, or even how our body will feel after a 10-mile jog. Today, my hopes is getting you to understand more about why we've started using human bodies for study, where we've progressed, where it's declined, or how we even got to this point. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, the beginning of using human cadavers started in Greece in the 3rd century. It fell off for a little bit and came back around in Italy around the 14th century. And then centuries went on, and it went to Europe and eventually came to the United States. According to Stanford University, first-year medical students have what's called a rite of passage, which is on their first day of class, they come in and get acquainted with their cadavers for the semester. Over time, the way human cadavers have been handled has progressed greatly. It first started with people taking bodies of the poor or robbing graves for bodies for use. We now have to where people donate bodies and are sent off to certain universities for people to learn about. Today we use typical human cadavers for medical studies or surgical instruction. According to the National Library for Medicine and researchers from the 21st century, using human cadavers is the key to medical practice. Through all my research, one name that kept coming up was Andreas Vesalius. He is considered the founder of modern day anatomy and how we go about it in schools today. He went from using text from the Galen text, which was typically over animal dissections. Galen had never used an actual human body, so Andreas Vesalius brought that into play. He went from teaching his students from text to direct observation. With the process, in the early Renaissance era, human cadavers were only good for about 3 to 4 days before the body started to decompose and people couldn't bear that smell. So back in that era, they tried to get the bodies around winter months so that they weren't decomposing as fast and so that they weren't having to smell it. In today, the use of human cadavers is a lot greater with the preservation methods that we have with embalming. There is a guy that is in Illinois. He is the director of a funeral home, and his name was Steve Silkins, and he used to be a firefighter, was an EMT, and now he is the director of this funeral home. And he says that the embalming process takes about a week initially. He first injects the fluids that preserve the body, and after that initial preservation, the bodies become 125 pounds heavier. Over a weekend or over a few days, they sit and more fluids are injected, and the bodies take about 3 months to shrink down to normal size. After that, the bodies are good for up to 6 years. There's a company, or over the past couple decades, probably within the last 30 years, more people, or more companies, more technology companies have been coming up with ways that we don't have to use actual human cadavers. There's one that is called Syndaver Labs. They were actually on ABC's Shark Tank and actually got a $3 million deal over a mechanical cadaver that can bleed, it can scream, it can stop breathing, and in a sense die. I think this is a huge advance for the medical field, especially since, according to the Association of Medical Colleges, enrollment of first-year medical students will increase, or could increase, within the next couple of years up to 2020 by about 29%. I'm thankful personally for this because we want doctors that have worked on actual bodies. We want doctors that know below the surface. Death is inevitable for each person, and as our spirits leave our bodies are still here. And this is good for people that are willing to become physicians or therapists and want to learn about this. I thank y'all for taking the time to sit here and listen to something that most people avoid, and I hope that through this presentation y'all were able to learn a little bit more about cadavers, whether you wanted to or not. Thank you.